Once again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. On behalf of the organizing team, International Colloquium on Materials, Manufacturing and Metrology, I invite you all to the inaugural function. I now request Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy, Director, IIT Madras, to take his respectful seat on the dais. He will be accompanied by Professor T. Sundararajan, Head, Department of Mechanical Engineering, IIT Madras. This morning, we are fortunate enough to have among us David J. Whitehouse as our chief guest. I request him to step forward and grace the dais. I also request the Secretary, ICMMM, to accompany him. We are honored to have Professor V. Radhakrishna as our guest of honor. I request him to grace the stage. I also request Kanta Babu, Joint Secretary, ICMMM, to accompany him.
May I now request everybody to stand up for the invocation song.
Gajanana yutam Ganeshwaram, Gajanana yutam Ganeshwaram, Pajami satatam Sureshwaram, Shri Gajanana yutam Ganeshwaram. Ajendra Pujita Vigneshwaram, Ajendra Pujita Vigneshwaram, Ganadi Sannuta Pada Padmakaram, Kunchara Manchara Chaduratharakaram, Kunchara Manchara Chaduratharakaram, Guru Guha Kritam Pranavakaram, Kunchara Manchara Chaduratharakaram, Guru Guha Kritam Pranavakaram, Gajanana Yutam Ganeshwaram, Pajami Satatam Sureshwaram, Shri Gajanana Yutam Ganeshwaram.
We believe any function in India begins with lighting the lamp. We believe this is to dispel the darkness and welcome the light of knowledge. Its flame has two significant qualities. Firstly, it dispels the darkness. Secondly, the upward movement of it signifies the path to divinity and wisdom. I request the honorable dignitaries to proceed forward to light the auspicious lamp.
May I now request the Organizing Secretary, Dr. G.L. Samuel, ICMMM 2014, to deliver the welcome address.
Dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, distinguished delegates, faculty members, staff and students of our institute, invitees, sponsors, media persons, a very good morning to all of you. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all to the International Colloquium on Materials, Manufacturing and Metrology, ICMMM 2014, and to the serene campus of IIT Madras. This colloquium provides a forum for teachers, researchers, and personnel from industry to get together and to discuss the latest improvements in the areas of materials, manufacturing, and metrology. Researchers from different research areas would be able to exchange ideas in open atmosphere to understand the needs and advances in their respective areas and to enhance interactions and collaborations with eminent people. Actually, this idea of International Colloquium has started way back in the year 2012 December when we were attending the AMTDR conference at Jadavpur University. Some of the former students of Professor M.S. Shanmugam and well-wishers, we were discussing to have a small get-together in the occasion of superannuation of Professor M.S. Shanmugam. So then as we came back, we called for an organization committee and then we wanted to have a conference. Then they suggested that we can name this as a colloquium, since it is the get-together of the eminent people in this area and the former students and scholars of Professor M.S. Shanmugam. Then we thought the magnitude of this conference could be just about 100 people or so. But when we advertised about this program on the website, so there was a tremendous response, and as on today, 623 people have registered online and expressed their interest to come and participate in this conference. But actually, after subjecting it to the rigorous reviews, we have selected only 215 papers for publication and presentation in the conference. Apart from the people who are here, through VizIQ, one of the live media resources, about 75 people have registered online to look or participate in the proceedings of this conference. We also thought we'd invite eminent people to speak during this colloquium. Then when we sent our invitation to different people, everybody has responded with much interest, and finally we had 8 keynote speakers to address in this conference, right from US to Australia. And also when we invited the people from the R&D organizations and the government research labs and industry, so they showed a tremendous response and they have also participated. We had also had a very spontaneous response from all the sponsors to meet the needs of this conference in view of very nominal registration fee what we have kept for the students and the academia delegates. So the small thought which has started as a seed in the year 2012, today it has become a reality, and I am very glad to see all of you here and with a bright faces and ready to participate actively in this conference. So at this juncture, I would like to welcome the distinguished guests who are on the dais. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our director, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy, the patron of this conference. Without the support of the director and all the authorities of IIT Madras, this colloquium would not have been a reality. I welcome you, sir. We are very glad and privileged to have with us Professor D.J. Whitehouse, Emeritus Professor, University of Warwick, UK. He has spent 20 years in industry, including 10 years as a chief researcher in Taylor Hobson, one of the very popular companies for measuring instruments. So he is also called as the father of digital metrology and champion of metrology. So in spite of his age, he has accepted our invitation to be with us, and he has traveled all the way from UK. So I'm very glad, and I welcome you, sir. We are happy to have Professor V. Radhakrishnan, an Humboldt Fellow and former Professor of IIT Madras and Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology, Thiruvananthapuram. Professor Radhakrishnan, very popularly called as Professor VR, has published about 200 international journal papers, and he has 7 patents on his name. Professor VR has been a visiting professor at National University of Singapore, University of Erlangen, Germany, and University of Technology in Malaysia. So Professor has been here with IIT Madras, and he is very happy to come back to IIT Madras, and we welcome you, sir, to your home institute. Professor T. Sundararajan has been with us as the chairman of this conference and as the head of the department of this Colloquium ICMMM2014. So without the support of head of the department and all the office and the faculty of our department, this program would not have been possible. So I take this opportunity to welcome Professor T. Sundararajan, head of the department of mechanical engineering. So at this juncture, I would like to welcome all the delegates, keynote speakers, faculty, researchers, student friends, and all the delegates and invitees to be with us and to have a fruitful and intellectual interactions during these 2 days of ICMMM 2014. I welcome you all. Thank you very much.
May I now request the chairman ICMMM to deliver his chairman address.
Respected Director, Professor Bhaskaramurthy, Chief Guest, Professor DJ Whitehouse, Guest of Honor, Professor V. Radhakrishnan, Organizing Secretaries, Dr. Samuel and Dr. Kantha Babu, distinguished keynote speakers and participants, it is my proud privilege to welcome all of you to this two-day international colloquium on materials manufacturing and metrology. In fact, every day new materials are being developed with higher and higher mechanical strength. And to make products out of them, of course, we also have to meet the challenges of corresponding manufacturing processes as well. And in fact, not only in terms of better materials, but in terms of greater dimensional accuracy, we are talking about micro and nano length scales in manufacturing. And apart from the dimensional accuracy, also with respect to the surface properties and so on, people are talking about the microstructures, nanostructures and things like that to get better properties. And the challenges that arise from these have to be met by doing greater research in this area. And in fact, if you look at the global scenario, we find that the Asian countries, including India, of course, there is greater emphasis on manufacturing as such. And at our institute in Madras, right from the early days of German collaboration, manufacturing, of course, has been an area of great focus. And today also it remains the same, that manufacturing is one of the areas where we do have many young active researchers working in different areas. In fact, we are very keen to really, we are working towards the establishment of a Center for Advanced Manufacturing as well. So at this juncture, I find that it is the most appropriate and maybe opportune moment to have this two-day international colloquium where all the developments with respect to materials, manufacturing processes, and metrology can be discussed. Of course, I'm sure that all of you are waiting for the exciting deliberations that will take place over the next 2 days. And apart from, of course, participation in this international colloquium, I also welcome all of you to visit the different laboratories, different departments as well, in fact, and the manufacturing section in particular. And apart from participation in the colloquium, please also see whether we can have some kind of long-term collaborations in research in different areas of manufacturing. I'm sure that most of you probably, would be comfortable with your stay within the institute, and our organizing teams, I'm sure, would have taken care of your needs. But if you do have any special requirements, please let us know, and definitely these can be taken care. So I welcome once again all the participants, and I wish this colloquium a great success. Thank you. And I welcome the director to give his presidential address.
Very, very good morning to all of you and welcome to the Institute. Special welcome to Professor Whitehouse, Professor Radhakrishnan. We're always very pleased to have him back here whenever he comes. My Dr. Kantha Babu, my colleagues, Professor Sundarajan, Dr. Samuel, and other dignitaries in the audience, people who have come specially for this conference, a colloquium from different parts of the world. There are only 2 or 3 points that I want to make, a couple personal and one more general. Let me start with a general point, and that is that manufacturing is a big focus area in the country now. It is widely recognized that we are behind the curve as far as manufacturing is concerned. And there is a stated policy that we must increase the share of manufacturing in GDP from the 15 or 16% it is right now to almost 24, 25%. Not an easy thing to do. There's also a focus on renewed focus on R&D in manufacturing technologies. Today it has become very, very multidisciplinary. Photonics, optical techniques, other wireless sensing techniques, all these are playing a big role, particularly in metrology, in inline measurements, of temperature and so on and so forth. So I'm glad to see the very large audience here. I tend to be the common factor in many conferences, and I'm finding increasingly that most conferences are finding even the inaugural session, which is usually thinly attended, fully attended in this room. And this is happening even in fairly esoteric areas, so there's a definite change in the country, and that's for the good. On a personal note, I wanted to mention that Professor Shanmugam, who's superannuating very soon, was also my teacher. When I was here started here in 1975 in my undergraduate program, he was taking the engineering drawing class at that time. So I was not good at drawing. I was also very young. I came here at the age of 16. And somehow he did have the effect of creating a little bit of trepidation. So I used to finish my drawing, take it to him, and he used to take his time without an expression on his face to decide whether to ask the student to redo it or accept it. And I remember that tension even now. Anyway, he was but a very quick introduction to what IIT is all about. Because drawing was something that you hit very soon as you enter. And I remember that very vividly. So he is my teacher, and therefore it's a special day for me. Professor Radhakrishnan is also very special because I remember writing my first proposal, sending it in to the funding agency, and I think somewhere I had the confidence that it will take time, that these funds don't get released so fast, but actually it got approved. And then I didn't know, I was really quite scared because I'd never handled, nobody had ever given me any money to do something till that time. So he was the Dean of Industrial Consulting and Sponsored Research. I didn't know him from Adam, but I went to meet him, and I remember it was very businesslike, but he ended up giving a lot of confidence and making it very clear that these are things that have been done by just like driving. It's been done by lots of people before. There's no need for you to worry about it, and you can get on with it, and this is how we go about it. So I remember that very well. In fact, I wasn't sure whether that was the period, but I just now checked with him, and he was in fact the dean at that time. So he's also a very esteemed teacher. In fact, we had him for Teachers' Day, which comes on September 5th, 3 years ago. And so we're sort of celebrating a mini Teachers' Day today. So I want to commend both of them for their lifelong devotion to teaching and research. And I hope you have a terrific conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bhaskaramurthy, for delivering the address. Now I request Professor V. Radhakrishnan, guest of honor for this day, to come and please deliver his talk.
Professor Bhaskaramurthy, Professor Whitehouse, Professor Sundarajan, Dr. Kantababu, Dr. Samuel, Professor Shanmugam, distinguished delegates to this colloquium, students and friends. Let me first of all thank the organizers for inviting me and placing me as the guest of honor, which I never dreamt of. In any case, once I am in that position, I am obliged to give a talk, and I plan to do that one extempore. Basically, I was not aware of the inauguration function where I will be asked to sit, so naturally it's rather difficult for me to think about subjects which are connected with the field of materials, metrology and manufacturing. But then after seeing the program, I cobbled up some things in my mind, and the first thing which I would like to say is that M stands not for manufacturing. Many M's are together in manufacturing. Man, machine, money, management, metrology, materials, everything is M. So you can find out another term in M, and definitely it will be fitting into manufacturing soon. So that's the way in which it has expanded considerably, and I'm sure that people who are here are aware of the fact that those countries which missed on manufacturing are the ones which are suffering today and trying to catch up in a big way to see that they are in a position to command respect from the rest of it. Our neighbors have done it very well, of course neighbor I should say correctly, and now we are looking at what we can do quickly to see that we are also having a presence in the wide field of manufacturing. The major advantage of manufacturing is the fact that it gives employment for a wide section of people. It's not the elite who gets the position, but from the lowest to the highest. And you can see the advanced manufacturing requires intelligence of a high caliber,
whereas mundane manufacturing do require skills of a certain type. So thereby, the advantage of manufacturing when compared with any other profession which you can think of is much more widespread. And that's one of the reasons why countries have to establish the manufacturing systems in their own way so that the benefit goes to the citizens of that country. And definitely it has got the scope of bringing money from outside too. So there are countries which have excelled in manufacturing, and they continue to do that one because they put emphasis on all the aspects of manufacturing right from the lower level to the highest level. There's no need for me to mention about those countries which have done exceedingly well in spite of their small sizes. So you can see that how the manufacturing has transformed itself as a major wealth generation activity. There are only 3 wealth generation activities presently available to mankind. One is digging, that means something is down in the earth and try to get the money out of that one. Of course, that can be a short term advantage. The other one is agriculture is there, the one where you can grow something and get it. Of course, unfortunately, the money doesn't grow, otherwise you have to do the generation of money by other side. The third one is transforming the materials into products, and that's manufacturing. Now, in the earlier time, it was thought that service industries were not of that caliber. So at that time, it was considered as 1/3 of the GDP should have come from manufacturing. But now that we have got the IT section, the information technology and associated activities coming as a service sector, of course, sometimes they also call it as a manufacturing because they manufacture the software. So that way you can see that manufacturing terminology is going to spread out, because whenever you want to have the GDP to be scaled up, this also can be put together with that manufacturing and see that it is a little high. But otherwise, the manufacturing should have a presence of about 20 to 25% for a very good, robust growth for a country. And today, the manufacturing cannot be considered as a routine, mundane type of thing. No doubt about it, there are a few activities which are going to be repetitive, but most of the things are advanced today, and hardly anything can be done by somebody who has not a background in that one. And also, we have to have a research establishment which will be supporting this activity, because new materials, new technologies, new product lines are coming up, and thereby it is essential for us to have a thorough knowledge of this one. And in this context, we have got 3 M's together here: materials, manufacturing, and metrology. And all these 3 are critical parts of a manufacturing system, though there are other aspects to it, but at least looking at the process side, connected with the materials and manufacturing, these 3 M's are the most important one. And those who are doing research can contribute considerably to this one, which in turn will be reflected in the manufacturing capability of the country in course of time. And you can do wonders by doing innovative research. The question is, how are we going to do innovative research? There is no question of following the path traveled by many people and then following them indefinitely, but break it out and then get into new areas so that you will be the leaders and others have to look at you and then maybe follow or do something else because you have already done that one. So I'm sure that the young delegates who are here will be enthused by this aspect of getting into manufacturing research and contributing to the wealth of the country. Once again, I thank the organizers for inviting me to this function. As Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy mentioned, it's a pleasure to be back here for a couple of days, because you don't have any job to do other than going around and seeing the places. So that way it's a very ideal one for a retired person to come back and then see the enjoyment which he derives out of such a campus. Thank you very much and welcome you all. Thank you.
It's my privilege to introduce the chief guest, Dr. David J. Whitehouse. Regarded as one of the world's top authorities on surface and nanometrology, David J. Whitehouse is Professor Emeritus of Engineering Science at the University of Warwick, where he was Chief Scientist in the School of Engineering. He has also been a consultant on to numerous organizations such as Rolls-Royce, Taylor Hobson, Kodak, Unilever, General Motors, Caterpillar, 3M, Toshiba Japan, UBM Germany, and the Atomic Weapons Research Establishment. He has published 5 books and more than 250 technical papers, holds 23 patents, and was founding editor of the first peer-reviewed international journal on nanoscale science and technology, nanotechnology. Professor Whitehouse has been a recipient of many awards, including the Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Society for Precision Engineering, the Champion of Metrology Award from the National Physical Laboratory, and the commemorative medallion of the Mendeleev Institute of Metrology. Professor Whitehouse.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my 4th visit to IIT Madras, and I can say this, I have actually spent more time at IIT Madras than at any other university or institute in India in my career. I got involved in 1969 here, before most of you were born, and then in 1980, I am assured by Professor Shanmugam is my 2nd visit, and then since then I have been involved very heavily, in particular with my very good friends. We've got Professor Shanmugam and Professor Radhakrishnan. Professor Radhakrishnan, I'm talking to you. It is a real honour to be able to be in the first of these conferences, because although I appreciate that manufacturing is of vital importance, you know that England really started the Industrial Revolution, and the manufacturing was key to it in its first years. UK has slipped slightly down the league table of performance since then. But one thing that you have to remember is that there are 2 things that I would like just to point out to you in terms of what manufacturing is about and where we're going. One thing is that when you consider manufacture, it is most important of all to remember that whoever's doing the manufacture should know exactly why they're doing it and for what purpose they are doing the manufacture. It is most important to get the objectives correct before you even start. So rather than just starting manufacturing facilities, you must get the philosophy and the strategy for knowing what to manufacture first. And this is the job of the senior people in the industry. And the second thing is that the biggest advances in manufacturing and the biggest problem areas and the biggest potential for growth are those where we are considering the effects of small scales of size. Miniaturization is having a dramatic impact upon the world of manufacturing. And there is little known about the properties of small manufacturing parts, little understood. And if you asked me which is the field to concentrate on, I would go there. And this is something that is not understood in the world, despite the massive manufacturing capability of people in China and Japan and so on. So we will discuss this later on today. I'm very pleased to see that we have quite a lot of women in the audience. This is a really good, I think, and lots of young people, because this is who are the people who will be involved in actually presenting and performing at the manufacturing level. And I wish every success to this conference and to the fellowship that it brings with it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your knowledgeable and inspirational speech. I believe we youngsters over here will follow your words. Selective papers, extended abstracts, and response for call-off papers have been compiled and edited in form of conference proceedings. I now request our chief guest to release the conference proceedings. May I now request the guest of honor to release the souvenir.
May I now request the organizing secretary, Dr. G.L. Samuel, to present a memento to the Director IT Madras. May I request the Director IT Madras, Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy, to present a memento to Professor David J. Whitehouse. May I also request the Director IT Madras to present a memento to Professor V. Radhakrishnan. And lastly, may I request Dr. Kanta Babu to present a memento to Professor T. Sundarajan. May I now request the Joint Secretary, Dr. Kanta Babu, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning. It gives me a great pleasure to propose this vote of thanks for this inaugural function of International Colloquium on Materials, Manufacturing and Metrology, ICMMM 2014. I am proposing this vote of thanks on behalf of organizing committee as well as students and research scholars of Professor M. S. Shanmugam. We would like to express our sincere thanks to Professor Bhaskar Ramamurthy, Director IIT Madras, patron of this colloquium, and also for his presidential address. The chief guest of the colloquium, Dr. D.J. Whitehouse, the co-patron of this colloquium, Professor V. Radhakrishnan, and also Professor T. Sundarajan, head of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, IIT Madras, and Professor J. Raja in absentia for acting as chairman of this colloquium. We would like to extend our sincere thanks to co-chairman Professor N. Ramesh Babu and Dr. V. Ramanujachari, Director IIT Research Park, and Treasurer Dr. Sushanta Kumar, MES IIT Madras, and also all the faculty members and staff members of IIT Madras, and also Professor S. Gauri and Professor Hariharan from Anna University for their excellent support. We would like to express a sincere thanks to all the organizing committee members, especially keynote speakers, Professor D.J. Whitehouse, Professor V. Radhakrishnan, Professor Guy Letterfair, Professor Scott Smith, Professor Susil, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, Dr. Suresh Ramasamy, students, volunteers of this colloquium, and all the participants from India as well as abroad for choosing this colloquium to present the technical paper, and also a special thanks to review committee members. We would like to express our sincere gratitude towards all the sponsors of this colloquium, friends of Professor M. S. Shanmugam, students and research scholars of Professor M. S. Shanmugam for contributing towards this colloquium and also to the endowment fund. At last, we would like to express a sincere thanks to all the people who are directly and indirectly involved in organizing this colloquium. Once again, I thank you all for the opportunity given to us. Thank you very much.